Phosphor Dot fans, Earl at thelogbook.com, back in the arcade, back to 1983, and a game that got an unbelievable amount of hype based on the rock group Journey, believe it or not, which, to be fair, in 1983, they were a big deal. I believe their most recent album at that time was Frontiers, and they were packing the arenas. So this was a reasonably big deal, and I'm sure, a licensing coup for Bally Midway. It's a very, very simple game in terms of it's different levels, very much like Tron. Not sure it really broke any new ground as far as game design or game concepts. Almost made it to the finish line. Let's try that level again. There were parts of the game that were also kind of punishingly difficult. Which may or may not have been a miscue if part of the appeal of the game was, you're playing a game designed around the brand of this extremely popular band. Oh, come on. Zoom in so you can see a little bit more clearly what's happening. Sorry, I forgot to do that. It's kind of like Monty Python's Flying Cubert. You're trying to change the color of all the... I guess these are drum heads. And then you've got to start firing, it's kind of... Oh, really? Wow. That got me in the high score table? All these other guys named PDF must be really terrible if that got me to number 3. What are the odds? So there's a story behind the little digitized faces of the band that you see. Yeah, Steve Perry, all you've got to do is get him between the turnstiles, and I can't even do that while I'm talking. So one of the first ever digital cameras, if not the first ever digital camera, was used to grab the band's faces for this game. That camera was actually designed by Ralph Baer, who is kind of the originator of home video games. Well, not kind of, he is the originator of home video games. Ralph invented that camera with the idea of that replacing the three initials as the record of who got on the high score table of an arcade game. There's little chiptune versions of Journey tunes in there. I'll give it to Steve Perry. He did a deeply disappointed in the player face there. When Ralph Baer designed this digital camera, the idea was that it would be hidden in the machine somewhere, like maybe right above the monitor. And if you got on the high score table, it would be, look ahead of you and smile for the camera, and that will be what goes on the high score table instead of your initials. Of course, teenagers being teenagers. Well, okay, let me narrow this down because I have a feeling that this is probably closer to the truth. Teenage boys being teenage boys. Someone almost immediately mooned that digital camera when they did a test run with it, with a specially modified version of another Midway game. And so, obviously, the idea of using this tiny digital camera, which, 1983 was probably none too tiny, the idea of using that for gathering people's faces for the high score table was immediately dead. Because otherwise everyone was going to be flashing the camera somehow or, flipping at the bird or whatever. And so the technology was used instead to grab the faces of the band, pulling various expressions, and then added those to the animated sprites for this game. Obviously, it would have been a black and white camera, but, for 1983, I'm not sure what anyone was expecting. Oh. Well. That went well. Let's try it again. Oh. So basically you're going to see me fail at every stage of this game. Oh. But you just really have no... That, of course, is the correct response. You really have no control over how that level turns out. Boy. This is kind of Donkey Kong in reverse. Get all that way and then that? Okay, no. Surely I can clear this level. They probably asked him to remember what it was like being in the babies to get that face out of him. Alright, let's see if we can do Steve Perry any favors here. Surely we can. I know. Don't call him Shirley. Don't call him O'Sherry. There we go. Okay. Finally helped somebody out. Alright, let's get back to the drummer. There is a final stage of the game if you are able to get all of the band members to the, back to the safety of the Journey Scarab ship. Full marks for them using the, oh, come on. The kind of sci-fi imagery that was baked into the cake of the album art to begin with. Good on them for using that. If you could get everyone safely back to the ship, which I apparently am incapable of doing, there was another stage of the game that you could only reach that way, where there was a concert that you had to survive, and it would play there was a tape loop in the machine that would play, in my experience, anytime I saw or heard this, whether it was me or someone else playing, it was horribly distorted. It's like, come on, tape technology in 1983 was pretty good. How could you whiff the ball on that? But this tape loop of an actual Journey song would play while you were in that concert stage of the game. And okay. It was a fun little game. It was just, if the idea was to get people to sink quarters into it for the novelty of playing as members of this band, I'm not sure what the wisdom was in making it quite so difficult a game to play. Frenzied groupoids. I rest my case.